All right. Good morning, everybody, or good afternoon to those of you on the east or in the eastern part of the United States. This is the next in the series of TDevConf speaker interviews. My guest this morning is Mr. Michael Kreeger from Nashville, Tennessee. Correct?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Yep, Nashville.
So we'll talk to Michael here in just a few minutes. But first of all, I want to do a quick commercial announcement. And while I'm doing the commercial, Michael, if you want to put your Twitter, you might want to put your Twitter in the bar below with your name in it.
Sure.
Yeah, just so people can spam you later on. So now TDevConf is sponsored. We have a sponsors page here on our site that you can see here, and I'll mute my phone. So we are right now we're being sponsored by Microsoft, JetBrains, O'Reilly, and the Result Group. These companies have donated either services that we're going to be using to make the conference more awesome. They have donated prizes that we will raffle off, swag, and some have also made contributions to charity. And we have raised, I believe it's over $400 now for Vets Who Code. So thanks to our sponsors, and if you would visit them and let them know how much you appreciate their support. And okay, so hang on just a second here. Let's get this set up. Let me see if I can edit your name. Yeah, I can edit your name from here. There we go. There we go, like that. So now everybody will know who you are. Okay, so Michael, how are you this morning?
Doing good. Excited to be here.
Great. So why don't you start off by introducing yourself with a 60 to 90-second elevator pitch?
Sure. So Michael Kreeger, originally from Wisconsin area, came to Nashville a couple years ago. Been doing and involved with software development going on a little over 20 years. Definitely have a heart and a passion for software craftsmanship and that platform development. Done a whole variety of roles over the years. Currently, I'm the leader of the solution architect group at Evacor, where we kind of advise and provide guidance to our agile teams and our scrum teams. So it's a little bit about me and what I love to do. I love software development. It's my passion.
So you say that you have been doing this for 20 years now.
Yeah.
When you first got started, so what was your first computer?
Oh gosh. So the first at junior high, if you count those, the old.
I'm talking about your first computer.
Yeah. Well, so we had the Apple. In grade school, played around with, and then you had, I don't even know the brand, but put the 5 1/4 inch floppies in IBM computers to load it. You got to, switch between the floppies a few times to get everything loaded. So I did that. The first one that really pops to my memory, where it was like I really felt it was mine, was this really clunky laptop, and I thought it was so powerful because it had 200 megabytes of hard disk, and it had a single processor, and it was a laptop. So it was like, oh wow, you can move it. So that is where I kind of took ownership over the computer. Up till that point, it was like I was always borrowing someone else's computer over the years. So.
So at what point did you realize, hey, I can tell this thing what to do instead of just doing what it already knows how to do?
Yeah, great question. I kind of fell into it in a couple of points in my life. So in junior high, our computer teacher, which was actually a typing course, kind of introduced us a little bit to BASIC and did a little bit of had a little bit of fun kind of playing in free time there, but didn't really do anything of substance. Then later on, actually, after I had already entered the workforce, I was a sales manager at the time, and I was frustrated by the reports I was getting. They were constantly inaccurate. I would see a salesperson on the floor who would obviously complete a successful sale, run the report, and the numbers didn't reflect it, or they gave credit to the wrong salesperson, which was really frustrating. And I got frustrated to the point where I ended up just writing my own program to aggregate the data and, using VB6 and Crystal reports, kind of put it together. So I kind of fell into it, trying to solve a business problem that I was dealing with. So
yeah, and a lot of great developers have been made that way just out of necessity. For example, I don't know if you live in the Python world at all, but there's a tool that's used often by the data science and machine learning community called IPython, which later has now expanded into Jupyter Notebook. Well, the person who created that, Fernando Perez, he is he's obviously a very bright fellow. He's a computational physicist at UC Berkeley, but he's not a developer. And he created this because of some problems that he saw that he wanted to solve. And he has keynoted the International Python Conference because of this. I think more than one. So so I mean, a lot of the time, what is it? Necessity is the mother of invention, they say. So it sounds like
it's interesting, but I often find that the problem becomes more interesting than the technology. If you have a really good problem to solve, the technology will just kind of fall into place. There's obviously, sometimes your problems are not solvable or are really hard and you have to dive deep into technology, but often they're not necessarily hard problems to solve once you have the problem well stated and well thought through that you're trying to solve. Just like, the problem I was facing with then was I just wanted an accurate sales report. It's not a hard problem. You got the raw data of all the sales. You know who the salespeople are. It's like, this shouldn't be hard, And a lot of times it's why I find it's focusing more on the problem. Technology will kind of fall into place.
No, I agree with that as well. And a great example of that might be back when Apple introduced Swift. Objective-C had been used widely and everything for many years. And because Swift is basically solving the same problem, just doing it a different way. Now, was it easier? Yes. But did it really matter whether you're using Swift or Objective-C, or back at the time you could even use Flash, I think, to create iOS apps. And now today you've got Flutter and Xamarin and all the cross-platform frameworks. But obviously the problem in getting a good solution to the problem is definitely the focus.
Yeah.
This is kind of another historical question, I guess, if you want to think of it that way. What's your favorite code or text editor?
Favorite code or text editor? I would have to say is Visual Studio. I think traditionally throughout the years, they've done just a phenomenal job of keeping the developer experience forefront and just really providing a rich and powerful development environment. Back to VB6 when you had IntelliSense and it popped up, I thought that was the coolest thing in the world. You didn't have to guess what the name of the variable was; it figured it out. Nowadays, it's evolving so much where they're actually, including. I forget what the latest one is, basically using machine learning against your own code to help. They have a name for it. I forget what it is, but it's basically the IDE is just getting incredibly more powerful in that. But that's my own personal. I'm not a I've run into developers who love Notepad, and I can't even begin to relate sometimes as far as like why they'd want to work that way. But at the end of the day, it's just text files that go into a usually Git. So it gets compiled by a build agent. It's not really that important. For me, as far as like, hey, everyone do their own thing, have their own their own flavor.
Well, I mean, no, definitely.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, and it's all text file. But I mean, again, going back into now, I'm not one of these people, but people in the I Hang on, let me silence some notifications here. I thought I had them on silenced. Just with that application. Okay.
Yep.
No, like I said, I'm not one of these people. I use Visual Studio Code for almost everything. But in the Python world, there are a lot of people who believe you are not a real programmer unless you use Vim.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No. I have a friend who we run the Python user group here in Memphis together, and he has said you'll pry it out of my cold dead hands. he loves it, and he's a wizard with it. He can work magic with it. But I just like, and I've tried to learn it, and I'm like, dude, I just can't. I gotta have something. I mean, I use the keyboard a lot, but not that much.
Yeah. Well, yeah, and I'm, and that's, an area opportunity for my own professional growth. I'm not a Python guy, but my general answer is, if someone's passionate about an IDE, because I have the same philosophy at work. If you have an IDE that you love and you're productive with it, I'm not going to get in your way. Like, keep going. You like VS Code, great. I can love it too. If it makes you more productive, I love it more.
Yeah, I mean, but it's just Vim seems to. I guess I don't know why I have such a problem with it, because there are people who do .NET Core development with Vim because you can get the plugins for it and everything. And that's another thing. Installing plugins with Vim is that's something that I just don't understand, I guess.
Yeah.
made for people smarter than me, I guess.
Yeah. Well, I recently just saw went to .NET user group meeting, and they had a gentleman there from the UK, and he was using JetBrains editor for writing .NET code. And I was like, wow, I've seen VS Code, I've seen Visual Studio, and even at times people would just go into even into like Azure DevOps or whatever, and just make a quick couple of semantic changes, checking in and be done. But yeah, the world is kind of opened up when it comes to editors and letting people pick the tools that work best for them.
Right.
And it is a lot of personal preference. So yep.
Oh yeah, and JetBrains, one of our sponsors, you're talking about Writer, I believe, and that is a fantastic.
That was the editor. Yep.
Yeah, and that is a fantastic editor that works across platforms like Visual Studio Code does, and it's in many ways a full-featured IDE. So no, I mean, I definitely have no problem with any of those.
Yep.
Let's go ahead and let's see here. How would you explain your job to an elementary school student?
How would I explain my job? That's a great question. So what I would first say is I help people build software. That's how I explain it to my kids. And I think that is the essence of what I do and what I'm passionate about, because it's interesting in that it's easy, where you can, just like myself, you can come in accidentally into this industry and all of a sudden you're a developer, you're writing a program. But it's also hard. It's hard in ways because a lot of the approaches to how we're used to organizing people in other industries just don't work with software development. We're not used to having a construction crew self-organize. We're used to that leader who shows up and says, "This is the way you're going to do it, and I'm going to check with you every 5 minutes to make sure that you're doing what you're supposed to." And a lot of the traditional management structures, the traditional approaches to running a team, they just don't work with software development. And so in some ways it's easy to do software development, but in other ways it requires you to unlearn a lot of the behaviors and patterns that we get from other industries or our history, just as a society is how we organize. So I would tell my younger kids, I help people build software.
Okay, let's talk about your TDevConf talk for just a minute. You call it the future of software development. That can mean a lot of different things. So why don't you go ahead and give us narrow it down a little bit more for us?
Absolutely. So We're kind of, in my opinion, in history will be the judge. I think we're in the midst of the next industrial revolution. And I'm not, this isn't just my opinion. There's others that feel it, and if you read or do a little bit of research, it's not hard to stumble on different perspectives or thoughts on this. But we're at a very interesting time as an industry. First off, let's do a little history. So, World Wide Web, the internet, really started to hit it big in the 90s, early 90s, and then mid to late, just taken off. And then all of a sudden, 2001, we started to realize, as I was just mentioning, that agile development, the way we organize teams, the way we do software development is different, and it has to be done differently. And then in around 2007 to 2010, and starting to take off in 2012 to 2015, all of a sudden cloud development. And during this time, you also have the movement in DevOps. All of these things are accelerating the pace of change in our economy. You also have the movement in IoT that is dramatically increasing the footprint of technology in everyday activities, little things. It gets involved in agriculture, farming, something that you would traditionally wouldn't even think of as being a highly technical field, is all of a sudden getting all of these, I guess, tentacles of technology everywhere. So where is this going, and what's happening to software development? We are taking over the world as technology organizations, and as software development. We are literally transforming the org structures, because now, instead of having top-down command and control structures where the CEO tells the VP what to do, and the VP tells the manager what to do, and the manager tells the team, we're now getting teams that are empowered to make decisions and are simply given a goal of, hey, go solve this problem. Very much the position our government found themselves in, when we got into the wars in the Middle East. Here all of a sudden what we needed were Navy SEALs. We needed these elite teams that you could simply give a goal, give a mission, and expect them to figure out how to do it, how to organize around, what do they need. The traditional command control structures just didn't provide that flexibility and that adaptability to actually get the results you needed. So we're seeing complete change in the management structure. We're seeing a change in the way we do development, and that we used to have, in a lot of organizations still have very siloed development, where I'm the UI developer, or I'm the guy who does the CI/CD, or I'm the database guy, I'm the operations person. All those walls are busting down, and they're busting down at an incredible pace. And what you're getting is teams that literally own everything. They own the analysis and discussions with the customer, all the way to the delivering of the product and the operations of it, and everything in between. All the traditional 3 layers and then some. We talk a lot with the teams and the individuals that come to Evacor, where I work, and with some, we're building full stack development teams, but not full stack just in the traditional 3 layers. We're also talking about CI/CD, writing your own YAML pipelines or whatever automation tools you have. We're talking about the operations. We're talking about having discussions with your customers and your clients to find out what their needs are. So it's really, you're getting this emergence of these highly capable, highly powerful teams within organizations that are given an incredible amount of autonomy as far as how they organize their day, how they work. The management structure is completely rethought of, and the capabilities that these teams have, when you look at things like cloud development, you can have a very small team produce software for 10 customers. That product goes, like hotcakes in the market. All of a sudden, there's a huge opportunity, and that same team can literally click buttons and scale that up to thousands of simultaneous users. And the only thing that they need is a customer willing to buy it. All these capabilities, they've been here for a while. Like we look at cloud development, this has been for about 10 years that we've been learning the cloud. In Agile, this has been about 20 years. With the internet, the availability of information, like you have the largest library in the world at your fingertips. All these things are accelerating the pace of change. And what's happening is our entire economy is being remade from the inside out. Like the average age of the Fortune 500 companies keeps shrinking to the point now where it's less than 20 years. The current research says that within the next 10 years, 70% of the companies in the Fortune 500 won't be there anymore.
Yeah.
I mean, think about that. That means chances are for most people, the company they work for won't exist in 10 years.
Mm-hmm.
It'll be gone or relegated and beaten out by the competition. And so this is a tremendous upheaval in the economy, the paradigms of management and organizational structures, the expectations on developers, because they're not put into silos anymore. They're expected to be the jack of all trades. And by the way, when the new technology comes out tomorrow, you don't have experience on that. You're going to be hired for your ability to learn more than you will be for your ability and your experience on a technology that's already 5 years old.
Yeah.
So it's the whole landscape is going to change. And so a good part of my talk and what I want to do is kind of share all this information in one forum of, hey, did you notice this event? Did you notice when Bank of America announced that they're no longer a bank, they're a technology company? Did you notice that? Did you notice that the Fortune 500 is now made up of tech companies and they're growing dominance in the market? Did you notice this? All this is accelerating, and I think it's going to be one of those things where 20, 30 years from now, we'll realize it like, oh my gosh, do you remember that? And we won't even realize, right now, we're not seeing it because we're in it.
Mm-hmm.
But I think 20, 30 years from now, we're gonna look back at this time and be like, oh my gosh, I remember when it changed. Yeah, we're gonna tell our grandkids stories, and I tell people this often, is like, we're gonna have to explain to our grandparents about a time when bosses weren't nice sometimes. We're going to have to explain, well, yeah, no, my boss, I had this boss once and he was just really mean to people all the time. And we're going to explain, and we're going to have to explain that to our grandkids, because to them it would be insane. Like, how can why would they ever promote someone who's mean? Like, why would you do that? Like, if you're trying to lead people, wouldn't you want to be nice to them so that they work harder for you? And wouldn't you try to help them so that if they're stuck on something, you can help them, get unstuck or help them with whatever they need? Because everyone's just doing their best, right, Dad? Or right, Grandpa? Why wouldn't people help each other? It's
Yeah.
a completely different world that we're moving into. I think the good news is it's great. It's positive. We're getting to a very cognitively stimulating work environment where people are very supportive and people are very encouraging and accepting of new ideas. In fact, new ideas are encouraged. But there's this transition phase that we're going to go through and that we are going through. And boy, is it it's tough. It's tough for organizations that, you have people who maybe for 20, 30 years have operated under different paradigms or come from different industries. And all of a sudden, the paradigms at work aren't from banking. They're not from healthcare. They're not from, pick your industry, accounting. They're from technology.
Right.
They're from these real free-spirited, creative minds where their idea of solving problems is to get together in a room and put stickies on a wall and draw diagrams and just talk and take a walk and it's just it's a completely different world. So yeah, so my talk, I'm gonna kind of correlate and bring together a lot of the information, a lot of the things that have happened in the last 10, 20, 30 years and show the pace of change. And then kind of paint that picture of, just based on what others have said that I've either read, or what others have said that I've read, or just my own 2 cents on it, where I think this is going and why it's so positive for us as people who are passionate about development and about technology, but also just for society in general. It's an awesome time. So yeah.
Yeah. You went through an awful lot there, and unfortunately don't have time to go through all. But there is one point that you made that it's like, dude, you gotta give people something to anticipate for the talk. But no, but one of the things that I did want to point out, you said that people are going to be hired not necessarily for what they know, but how can they learn, and that's something that actually has been touched on several times in other interviews. And maybe the fact that while definitely education is not to be scoffed at, the idea of what we see as a college degree today, especially in this industry, even today, does not have the relevance that it might in other industries. And going forward, as we become more technologically dependent, so that could continue to be the case. So what you're talking about, because I love it when I get calls from recruiters all the time. They say, you have to have, I always make the joke, if you have to have 3.14 years of experience in this language and 2.71 years of experience in another one. No. What's really funny is the number of recruiters who I'll tell that joke to and they don't get it. Programmers always get that joke. It's like, hey, it's two of the most famous numbers in the world, people. But the thing, to go back to Swift earlier, as soon as Swift came out, people started making these fake resumes saying they had 10 years of experience with Swift, and all of that, So that doesn't matter anymore. It's like, and in fact, I've often billed myself as a problem solver masquerading as a software engineer, because it's the ability to think. And that's not something that you can get. I mean, yes, a degree can help you begin to learn to think, but it won't teach you how to think.
Yeah, and that's so true. Some of the best hires as far as talent that we've brought on, and that I've partnered with over the years, have been people who, if you looked at their resume, they may not have all the things you were looking for that job, but in conversation with them or in just kind of talking about what they have done, you hear that problem solver. You hear that, there was that one time I had to really dig on this, or we had this really unique problem, and that's what you're looking for. You're looking for that person who can problem solve, who can think, who can learn. I think a lot of the learning and a lot of the educational system, it may teach us how to learn in that, but the information that we're getting from that is increasingly less relevant, and it can't really be reformed. It can't. It is what it is, because like, take the 4-year degree. Is there one technology that you can literally like start now and then in 4 years go to market with? Maybe. You pick the right one, you might, but that's really that's not where the thing is going. We're going to more of a just-in-time learning environment.
Right.
Where I'll learn the information I need when I need it. If I don't need to know it right now, nope, not a priority.
So, Michael, I want to get your closing thoughts just a second, but first of all, let you know that we do have tickets for TDevConf. They are available at bit.ly/TDevConf 2020-tickets. The conference is October 3rd, 2020, 2.5 weeks, well, at least 2.5 weeks from when I'm recording this. You can also follow us at TDevConf on Twitter to get all of the latest updates. Also, just to let you know, here in about 10 minutes, we're going to have the next interview. Going to be talking to Sarah Withy. So that'll be at noon Central Time. Michael, let us know what you'd like us to remember from everything.
Yeah. First off, just thank you, Douglas, for this. I would say, is regarding the talk and regarding the content is, be focused on the future. I would say with what you're learning and where you're focused, because if you focus on the things that are in the market today and obsess about that, you'll miss it. And you'll miss an incredible opportunity to be part of this revolution and this industrial upheaval that's happening. So definitely, obviously come to my talk. I'll promote it, but there's a lot of great content out there, a lot of great speakers. This is a great event, and I'm really looking forward to it. So definitely learn, grow, and try to stay ahead of the curve. So.
All right, thank you very much. So my guest this morning has been Mr. Michael Kreeger. Michael, thank you for helping to make TDevConf awesome. We are looking forward to it.
Thanks, Douglas. Appreciate it.
Right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Bye.